Welcome to the new version of Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast, the podcast for real estate agents everywhere. I'm Lisa B, and together with Bjorn Kunzel, we're going to talk about everything real estate. We talk about what's working, what's not working, what's new, what's old, technology, and anything else to do with real estate. We'll answer your questions from the Facebook group Let's Talk About Real Estate. So if you have a question, we can help. Join the Facebook group today, and again, welcome to the show. Welcome to this week's Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. Thank you, Bjorn, for joining me today.
Pleasure as always, Lisa, and we've got a very special guest with us today.
We do.
We have Hayley Beckett, 18-year veteran in the industry, been with us for 6 months in that short period of time after moving over from a traditional franchise, already transacted and being involved in 28 property sales, which is pretty amazing. From picking up a business from where it was and coming over and getting 28 sales in 6 months. So welcome, Hayley.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, amazing.
So, Hayley, tell us, what are the 3 things that you think that you do really well that have contributed to you making 28 sales in 6 months starting off with us? What do you think are the main factors that drives that?
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say would have to be that I actually set goals and I have consistency to do that. But I want to talk about that in another question that you're going to ask me later on. So I'll skip to the second one. The second one would have to be the fact that I have resilience. And you need resilience in this industry. It's a tough industry. And when I say resilience, it means that I've got the ability, to get back up again when times are tough, when the market's tough. Like, I'm a mum. I'm not just a real estate agent. I wear a lot of hats. I'm taking kids to soccer. I'm doing things. I'm constantly on the go. But what I can say is that my success this far, I would say, has been by design. I didn't get here by accident. I actually, really designed how do you actually get here. And when I say design, it means that you can tweak it, you can redo it. You've got complete control and accountability and responsibility. And that's how I've gotten to where I've got. And your success, you can't leave that to somebody else. It starts with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So goal setting, knowing where you're heading, knowing where you want to be, knowing where you are, assessing where things are at. Resilience, you mentioned about multitasking. You are a mum. You do have many hats to wear. So it is a lot harder, I think, for being a mother and a real estate agent in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously a lot of planning that you said as well. So, all right, awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love that part of that is taking responsibility. You know where you're going and you know what you need to do to achieve it. And there's a lot of agents out there that blame everybody else and blame everything else as by design, because you do the work, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The other thing that I wanted to say is that, like most agents, I'll say I do things that most agents will not do. Now, that might mean that, to have worked really hard to where I've got, I would do things, whether that be, if it means I have to drive an hour to go get a contract signed to seal a deal on a Friday night at 7 p.m, I'm doing it. If it means that I've got to drive all the way up to the Copper Coast on a Friday, do 2 appraisals, come home on a Saturday, go back up there again on the Saturday to do 8 opens, then come home, have dinner with my family, drive back up to the Copper Coast, start that day all over again and do another 6 opens. I mean, it comes to, your own accountability and what you're prepared to actually give. And I mean, my friends, they have a bit of a laugh and they, at me at sometimes they call it the Hayley Beckett special. I'm out having lunch with somebody and, sorry guys, halfway through lunch, I've got to go, I've got to run, I've got to go and, get this contract signed or serve some Form 1s. It's about really, putting yourself out there and helping people and ensuring that, you're doing the best that you can in your job.
Does it feel like work to you? Does it feel like work?
It feels like a passion for me. I love my job. Obviously work-life balance is important, especially being a mum and having to navigate all of that. But, having the ability to be able to be that chameleon, to be able to adapt to change, is important in this industry, or you're not going to make it.
definitely.
I'll just add there, Lisa, I've seen Hayley's work ethic, and it is, look, obviously we've got a fairly large team here in eXp, but her work ethic, I would say, is probably right up there in number one position. From what I've seen and what I've witnessed. The Copper Coast, for those that don't know, that we're talking about a 2-hour drive basically from where Hayley mainly predominantly works to going for 2 hours to do a couple of appraisals, then driving all the way back. Other agents will turn down business that's 40 minutes away because it's too far for them. And Hayley will go down there, she'll get it done, she'll get the job done. She's also willing to go co-agent on listings and assist other agents. She's assisted me on many of my sales as well, and I've had nothing but positive feedback. So I think work ethic, Hayley, you definitely have the work ethic there. And you are true. Some agents just don't want to do things. Hayley and I actually went and attended an auction last night on behalf of a client who, before they can sell their 2 development sites, they need to help their daughter purchase a property. And there was an auction happening last night. Went out and saw them. And Hayley's like, we'll come out to the auction with you. Let's check our diaries. We didn't have anything on. Hayley was there first, going through the open inspection in casual clothes out of respect for the other agency and agent, and looking at the property. Building inspectors, I was talking to the building inspector who did the building inspection. And we attended the auction and we assisted the client with the auction. Now, our advice on that particular sale was not to proceed with the property because the quality of the property was extremely poor for a brand new build. But once again, Hayley suggested, why don't we go out beyond and help these guys to help their daughter to try to secure this property at auction. Now, that client will sell those 2 development sites with Hayley and myself based on Hayley's suggestion to go and assist the daughter. So your work ethic is definitely 100% Hayley. So I definitely praise you on that because I've seen it in action.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also to Hayley, I'll ask you the next question in a second, but also one of our agents had an extreme tragedy in eXp South Australia as well, and you were there to help. And I mean, you were only there a short time and you sort of got in and helped, which was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think are the top 3 opportunities agents need to work on in order to grow their business? Where do you see them fall down that they could grow bigger, but they're not doing certain things?
So I'll go back to the question you asked me just before and talk about setting goals. So that's something that I do well in. My advice to any agent on it being able to do better would be to actually know your numbers, to actually, work out exactly how many calls you actually need to make and how many connects you actually need, which convert to how many appraisals that you would actually need to do per month, just say, which would then convert to listings, which then obviously you work out you need X amount to be able to get to this many transactions. So if you don't know those numbers, I would, ask any agent to do, an audit of themselves and figure out, what their actual goal is and what their numbers are to actually get to that conversion. Because if we can all agree, I would say that, it's the numbers that are on your group certificate that matter, or is the end goal. Am I right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, money's not the be all and end all, nor am I saying that, your group certificate and the money provides you happiness. But what I can say is that it provides you options, and options is what I love about this job.
Absolutely. And the other thing, Hayley, is knowing your stats is that you can see then you're getting better. Like if it takes, so ever many calls to get an appraisal or a listing, or however many appraisals it takes to get that listing, then, your list appraisal to list ratio, your list to sale ratio, all of those sorts of things. So then you can get better and better. If you don't know the ratios, then it's a lot harder then, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can track your progress that way. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
What are a couple of other things apart from agents that maybe don't have goals or goal setting? Is there anything else that you think they could do to improve besides?
Yeah. So once what I'm saying is, if you're setting goals, you actually need to then have some accountability to actually put a plan into place to make it happen. So, the challenge is when say you reach the top of your Mount Everest that you've created for yourself. I mean, one would imagine that, when you get to the top of Mount Everest, the air's thin, there's not a lot of room to move, and there's a hell of a lot of people trying to get there. But what you need is to sit back and reflect and go, okay, well, if I'm going to climb to the top of Mount Everest, how am I going to actually do that? And you're going to need the right gear, you're going to need the right training, and you're going to absolutely need the right team that's going to back you. And that's what we've got here at eXp.
Well said. Well said, Hayley.
Thanks.
You can tell why she's so successful, can't you, Lisa, just by listening to the
Yeah.
way she
Yeah.
talks and conducts herself.
Okay.
And you're very genuine as well, Hayley. One thing I've noticed with yourself, what you see is what you get. You don't pretend to be somebody else. You don't wear many personalities for different
Mhm.
people. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And if you want me, you want me. If you want to work with me, you want to work with me. But you don't
Mhm.
change your values and your morals and how you
Yeah.
conduct yourself based on who's sitting in front of you. You are Hayley
Mhm.
right now, the same Hayley that I see right in front of the buyers, the same Hayley that I see in front of the clients, and the same Hayley I'm assuming that you are around your friends as well.
Yeah. What
So
you
you're
see
true
is
to
what
yourself.
Yeah, what you see is what you get with me, Bjorn. I show my raw, authentic self all the time. My advice to other agents is, find out what your vendors or your buyers are actually, what they're looking for. Find out a solution to their actual problem. Actually help them along that process and get them from A to Z, not just halfway. I mean, we went to that one yesterday where we were out in the lounge room of just a buyer that came through a property of ours that, we gave them that follow-up call and said, hey, it was genuine connection. Do you want us to come out and do an appraisal for you? Then we were sitting there. We had calamari for breakfast at 9:30 yesterday, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, look, the daughter needed some help wanting to purchase a property, and we both decided that it would be a good idea to actually help them along with that process. We didn't gain anything from that. It all comes in roundabouts. Only hope that they could refer us in the long run.
We did get a feed of calamari though, Hayley, didn't we?
That's so
Right,
As
that's
soon
funny.
as we mentioned that
that's good
we
pain.
wanted to help the buyer's daughter and that this isn't going to cost you any money or anything, but obviously that's step one. Let's work out how we can do that. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, the lady disappeared, and next thing we had tea in front of us, and then we had chocolates in front of us, and then next thing she's cooking up calamari for us. And it's interesting, isn't it, how when you go to help other people without asking for anything or any financial reward, how all of a sudden something ticks inside their brain. They go, okay, finally somebody that cares about me, somebody that's not just here for the money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so well done. So Lisa, is it your turn to ask the next question or mine?
I can ask the next
Go
ones.
on, ask away.
What are the 3 reasons you're passionate about eXp? What are the 3 things that really changed for you coming to eXp?
Look, I think just coming from that traditional franchise model, and look, I'm going to say this, and it's probably, I don't know, a little inappropriate. However, I was made to believe that EXP was all smokes and mirrors, and that they were, the next, purple bricks, for example.
Okay.
Like without actually knowing, what EXP was about. And yeah, I actually then found out what they were about. I did the research into that before I made the move. But what I've found since joining EXP is that the support is absolutely amazing. Now, whether that be, if we're talking about the support team, with admin who are absolutely incredible, to the leadership team, like, Chris Jansen and Bjorn have been really fantastic for me, mentally and really set me up for my own business, which has been great. But not only that, you've got even the team members, like, just called, Mike Lowry yesterday and said, okay, hey, look, I can't get my calendar, to sync into my phone. And he was like, absolutely, just come straight over. Like you've got that, really good friendships that we've built. Marco Feligari, he, added me into the group chat this week. I was a little bit down in my personal life, and everyone goes through peaks and troughs and with their own personal life, and I can be raw and honest about that kind of thing. But he's just like, well, let's give you some accountability. We'll add you into the chat. We're going to be doing this many calls on this date. Let's get it done. So, the actual team and the support that you actually get here at eXp is absolutely phenomenal.
Amazing.
The training would be the second thing. Look, I'm not perfect. I'm going to say that I haven't attended all of the trainings this far. I guess I was, focused on helping Tim out at the beginning, but look, I'm now attending the training sessions and wanting to learn more and grow, and that's all you can ask for when you're running your own business. But you've also got the opportunity to, rewatch it later if you can't watch it at the time that it's happening, and that training is really important if you want to keep excelling. The other thing would just be flexibility. So flexibility for me as a mother, I, don't miss soccer games if I can't help it, depending on what time they are. I'll work my opens around it. I don't miss a sports day, or, I haven't missed anything important in my kid's life. So, That's what this job allows me to do.
Freedom.
That's
Freedom.
awesome.
Perfect.
That's awesome, Hayley. So you're right. It does provide us with a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility. And it's funny, every time we've interviewed somebody, no one talks about the huge commission rate that we get provided and the fact that we earn shares and all the rest of it, which is obviously one of the main attractors when you're comparing models from the outside in.
Mhm.
But it's great to hear that when people actually join us, they say it's about the team, it's about the support, it's about the environment, it's about the training, it's about the collaboration, it's about
Mhm.
all the things that aren't necessarily financial. But it's interesting as well because you've got to understand with Hayley. Hayley was with a particular franchise for her entire career, like for 17 years, 17 and a half years of her 18-year career. Loyal. Hayley is not someone who moves around from one place to the next, right? So to hear somebody of your caliber, because you are a high producing agent, here in South Australia, to actually say those things it makes me feel really proud of being a part of this company, to
Yeah.
have people like yourself that come and join us, to then hear that you like it and that you love being here and that it's not all smoke and mirrors. So
Mhm.
Not
what
something
would
you
you
would have
say
taken
to
lightly. Yeah.
yeah. Like, look, I'm sure Hayley would be the most critical judge. Like, if this was all BS, she would have been in and out, and
I would
she
have
would have
told
come,
you so.
you guys are dreaming. But it's great to hear that we've been able to help you and have an impact on your life, and be there for you. And obviously, it's your business that you're running, but it's hard to run a business by yourself. And I think the biggest misconception we have at eXp is that a lot of people think, oh, you're just on your own. You're just an agent on your own. But nothing's further than the truth. So what would you say to somebody who maybe at a franchise, or maybe they're at an independent office, or maybe they're running their own business and they're not happy? Maybe there's too much outgoing, too much expense with running their own business, or maybe their previous business has just been taken over by another company, or maybe they're just not happy where they are. What would you say? Because you obviously were in that position, and you obviously did some research before you just came and joined us.
Mhm.
What would you say to people that are in that position, knowing that you've been there yourself?
Firstly, just make the move. Yeah, look,
Just do it.
I have no regrets. Look, I haven't looked back. With the traditional franchise model, uh, I I'll tell you a bit of a story. I went to this recognition program awards night, and it was a whole bunch of high achievers, and their success, they were there because their success was backed by metrics and figures. And whether that be on, I guess, property transactions or income earned, there was a whole room full of people, probably a lot of flogs with flashy cars. But anyway, look, I took a I went there as my work colleagues plus one. And this was before I actually got into the sales aspect of real estate. And now I've done all facets of real estate. I started in the admin team, and then I worked my way up to property management, and then got into sales. So I've done the whole, the whole shebang. But when I went as this workplace mates plus one, I kind of sat back and realized how embarrassing. Like, I'm here as somebody's plus one. And I mean, I was in real estate, I just wasn't a real estate agent in sales. Now, when I took a step back and did an audit of the room, I looked and I thought, oh, I want to one day be standing here on my own merits. Now, I got there, and that's fantastic. But if I could go back in time and with a time travel machine and say, okay, look, let's see younger Hayley and be in this room, I would literally look around at everyone and think that they were a bunch of idiots. Because what I know now about actually joining eXp is that they weren't up there getting the trophies for themselves. They were getting them for their bosses. And I just think that that's crazy now that I look back at that and realize, like, since joining, what eXp can actually give us and the commission we can actually earn. If you're not happy in your traditional office, please take an audit of yourself, have a look around, and actually check out your environment. And if you're not happy, leave. Like,
Yeah.
that's all
Or
I have to say.
yeah.
Like, come and have a chat with us. Honestly, there's a lot that we could tell you in relation to the commission, and I'm just amazed at the level of turnover in transactions that I was doing. And, took a huge reality check just now, as to what the potential I could have actually earned and what options I could have provided for my family and for my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing, Hayley. We live rent free in so many principals' heads and so many office owners' heads and so many other real estate agents' heads. As eXp, I mean, your previous boss, you were telling me that they were looking at all the sales we were doing and who came and joined us and who like they were almost literally obsessed with us.
I love
to the point that got you thinking, hold on, why is this guy only looking at these guys and why are they so hateful towards these guys? And you told me that was actually one of the things that made you go,
hang on a minute,
I hate these people so much. And what is that about? And then when you looked into it, you were like, that's why, because it's the biggest threat to their business.
Correct.
So
especially, it's exactly right.
It's interesting because we don't have bosses here at eXp for people that are watching. It's like Knights of the Round Table where we're all equal. We all run our own businesses. We can all choose to collaborate with each other when we wish on individual deals or whatever. It's a deal by deal basis. We don't have to give 50% of our commission away to a boss and things like that. So obviously the bosses, they're raking in big bucks. There's bosses raking in some big money. There's a lot of expenses for bosses as well. Yeah. But of course, when there's a model which basically puts the agent as the main head of the company and the main figure and gives the agent the ability to collaborate with other agents if they wish to or do their own thing if they wish to, with the full support that a traditional office gives, plus paying and rewarding more because we don't have office space to pay for, we don't have rent to pay for. I mean, we've got hundreds of millions of dollars of cash reserves in the bank and we're a multi-billion-dollar company that's in 27 countries. Like, this is the future, and I can understand why people like your old boss were so hateful towards us and why we do receive so much hate in the industry, because eventually I think all performing agents, this is where they're going to want to be. And that means that the bosses that are making all of that money from their team aren't going to be making that money in the future. So it was very interesting when you told me that story of how that was one of the things that really got your ears pricked up as to looking into us. And I'm so glad that you're here with us now and that you're enjoying every minute of it by the sounds of things. So
certainly am.
Same.
So thanks for joining us, Hayley. Got anything more to add, Lisa?
No, just that anybody that's interested in finding out more about eXp, definitely give Hayley a call, and I will put all your details down below our videos as well. And the things that Hayley can help you with is obviously the transition into eXp, sort of explaining a bit about the model and how it's really helped her, and bits and pieces as you go to transition in. And then obviously you've got a whole team of agents behind you with eXp as well as the A team. So definitely reach out to Hayley. Best thing you'll ever do. Yeah.
100%. Here at eXp, when you do wish to join us, if you decide that's something you want to do, you do nominate a sponsor. And the sponsor is somebody that will guide you, assist you, and help you along the way. So Hayley would make a fantastic sponsor because of her 18 years of experience and also the way she carries herself and conducts herself ethically and morally, and also as a high-performing agent. And if you join Hayley, with Hayley's team, you're going to get full access to myself, you're going to get full access to Lisa B, and you're going to get full access to Chris Jansen as well, who's head of country and head of state. So you're going to have some real good minds around you to help you do better in your current career and further your current career as well. So guys, I can honestly say Hayley would make an absolute brilliant sponsor for you if you are looking at joining the career. And from someone who's just joined us and 6 months in has already sold 28 properties, if you've got any fear holding you back, I think that should be proof enough that there's no need to have any fear. Make the move, pick up the phone, call Hayley. We'll get you up and running within about 2 weeks. That's all it takes, guys.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Hayley. Thanks, Bjorn.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have a question about real estate, then please join the group on Facebook, also called Let's Talk About Real Estate. For those of you who are interested in eXp, please join us at 10 a.m. Brisbane time every Wednesday morning for eXp Explained. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and see you next week.